So Janine Pirro is a Fox News host, and she went after Ilhan Omar in an insanely stupid and unhinged rant. Take a look.
She is clear and pointed in her hatred. Her comments only critical of Jews and Israel, not Italy, not Morocco, not North Korea, Israel. Now, the fact that you didn't have the backbone, grit, or gumption to draft a resolution that included her name tells me you're the stupid one. And if you don't understand, let me explain. Omar got you and all your pals to draft a watered-down resolution with a message we all learned in first grade. Don't hate anybody. Really? That took you bozos a week in the House? And yet you were so quick to admonish a white male Republican congressman accused of hate and strip him of his committee assignments. She then goes on to accuse respected members of Congress who support Israel, our strongest ally in the Middle East, of dual loyalty. What she's doing, Nancy, is starting a movement to shut down pro-Israel speech, making it politically incorrect. So when she comes up with her pro-Palestinian agenda, the pro-Israels are reticent to speak because she's already proven that the Dems will not punish her. And talk about chutzpah, she takes a victory lap and in an unrepentant and unchastised tweet takes credit by saying, quote, "Our nation is having a difficult conversation, but we believe this is great progress." But she continues her disdain and contempt for Israel, America's chief ally, ignoring how Israel has assisted us advancing our interests in the Middle East, preventing victories by radical nationalist movements, as well as assisting us in intelligence gathering. She then goes on to slam Barack Obama, saying he's just another pretty face who got away with murder, caging kids and droning people in the Middle East. But she adds he is a bit more polished. My question: why the disdain for the government of the country that saved you and your family after you lived in a tent in Kenya for 4 years? Why the scorn? And as the Democrats scramble to forgive, rationalize, and give a pass to a freshman in Congress, the joke is on you, Nancy. You've appeased rising anti-Semitism inside the Democrat Party. Let me say that again. You and the whole gang running for president in the Democratic primary in 2020 have appeased the rise of anti-Semitism in the Democrat Party. The sad part is that all this is contrary to the tenets of your party, which is so receptive to the LGBTQ community, illegal immigrants, refugees, and on and on. This is not who your party is. Your party is not anti-Israel. She is. Think about this. She's not getting this anti-Israel sentiment doctrine from the Democrat Party. So if it's not rooted in the party, where is she getting it from? Think about it. Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution? And don't forget, Nancy, history has proven over and over, when you appease anti-Semitic sentiment, the worst happens.
Jesus Christ. And she's speaking about the Holocaust at the end there. As if Ilhan Omar's mild criticism of the Israeli lobby is going to lead to the Holocaust. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, this is like, what a sick joke. These guys are hysterical morons. So, I mean, first things first, my favorite thing about this is how quickly the far right flips on what they say their principles are. Because one of the things that they've been saying for years now is, the problem with the left is that they immediately jump to calling people they disagree with bigots. And we're against that. We're for open dialogue and free discussion, and name-calling is stupid. And so we're not for that, man. There's too many false cries of bigotry in today's day and age. And then now, in the next breath, it's, you're an anti-Semite, and you're an anti-Semite, and you're an anti-Semite, and you're an anti-Semite. And oh my God, there's going to be another Holocaust because you mildly criticized AIPAC. Oh my God. And then also, I love the idea, Victim Complex 101. There was one point there where she's like, talking about how, people who are pro-Israel, they're so oppressed. Yes, people who are pro-Israel are so oppressed. Are you fucking kidding me? What a sick joke this is. Our country, do you have any idea the stuff that the U.S. does for Israel? And if anybody makes a mild peep against it, anti-Semite! Oh my God, we're so oppressed! We're so politically incorrect for being pro-Israel. Are you kidding me? The politically incorrect one who's saying true things but is looked down upon is Ilhan Omar. So, towards the end there, she says she wears hijab, so she believes in Sharia and therefore is not loyal to the U.S. Constitution. In a segment where she's crying about, the bigotry, there's so much bigotry. Anyway, you wear hijab, and so you literally believe in Sharia, and you're not loyal to the U.S. Constitution. But now let me tell you more about how you're a bigot. That is not a bigoted argument? That, right, what I just explained to you is not a bigoted argument. She wears hijab, so therefore she believes in Sharia. By the way, you made that up. Totally made that up. And therefore she isn't loyal to the Constitution. How? How does that make sense? Constitution allows for freedom of religion. Now, I'm not a religious person. I disagree with all religions. But if somebody wants to practice their religion, that's perfectly constitutional. So in the middle of crying about, I'm so oppressed, and pro-Israeli people are so oppressed, and the left are such bigots, she makes a deeply, deeply bigoted argument. So much so that Fox News had to release a statement, and they were like, we don't agree with this. This is extreme. This is wrong. Now, are they going to do anything? Who knows? But that's what they had to release a statement on it, because what she said here is so abhorrent. She's so up her own ass, Jeanine Pirro is, because she has no ability to, self-perceive. She just goes and spews every far-right talking point imaginable and contradicts herself 1,000 times and just overrides it with deep, deep smugness. That's what it is. So, just so we're clear, all these cries about, they're trying to make it politically incorrect to support Israel. We give them $38 billion in military aid. By the way, they have free healthcare. We don't have free healthcare. Flint, Michigan doesn't even have clean water. But we have $38 billion to give Israel. And they're continuing to build their, illegal settlements. Any word on that, Jeanine Pirro? Any word on what is massively against international law? Massively against international law that they keep doing casually. Any word on the comments that that Netanyahu made this week that Israel is a state for Jews only? Any word on that? Any word on that at all? Oh, weird. You don't have any words on that. It's almost like you're fishing for your narrative on one side, but God forbid you ever say something accurate or true against Israel. Well, then, you wouldn't want to be considered an anti-Semite as well now, would you? So, just a few more points here real quick. She says her comments are only critical of Jews in Israel, saying Ilhan only went after Jews in Israel, and that is factually wrong. And listen, it's at the point now where you can't help but just call this lies. They're lying. Because it's been proven over and over that that is not true. Ilhan Omar has made countless statements against the government of Saudi Arabia, saying we shouldn't be giving them billions of dollars, we should boycott them. So she's not just saying I'm only going to single out Israel and we should only boycott Israel. She said repeatedly we should boycott Saudi Arabia. So does that make her an Islamophobe? Weird, you don't have that criticism, and you don't even say that she is in favor of boycotting other countries when she is. But assuming you knew that, is she an Islamophobe because she goes after Saudi Arabia? The answer is no, obviously not. So she's not an anti-Semite because she goes after Israel. These stupid fucking games, man, that people play. I really want... I mean, credit to Ilhan because she's under assault and all this, and it's grotesque, but what I really want is people on the left who are willing to say what I'm saying right now. If they get elected and they make a comment against the government of Israel and what they're doing, that when they're accused of being an anti-Semite, they literally laugh that point out of the room and slap it down and make all the points I'm making right now about how I'm for boycotting Saudi Arabia. Does that make me an Islamophobe? No. So how are you going to call me an anti-Semite when I want to hold the government of Israel accountable to international law? Is it anti-Semitic? Is it bigoted to make states follow international law? I scream at the U.S. all the time to follow international law because we violate it all the time. Am I an anti-American bigot? Am I an American phobe? Ah! These fucking stupid... Gotcha! You're a bigot! Gotcha! You're a bigot! Finally, they keep making this point of, Ilhan Omar. First she did the All About the Benjamins tweet. Then she accused people of having dual allegiance. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. That's not true. That's a gross misreading of what she said. So, listen, a lot of this stuff, next time somebody says to you that they think she's an anti-Semite, here's what you do. You say to them, give me a direct quote in context that you think is anti-Semitic, and let's talk about it. And here's my guess of what's going to happen. They won't even have anything to say. Never mind, if they did have something to say, you could obviously pick it apart and explain why it's not even close to anti-Semitic. But that's the reality. Tell people, Ilhan Omar, obviously there's an anti-Semitism problem. Okay, give me the direct quote in context that's anti-Semitic, and let's talk about it. Anything they bring up, there is a perfectly logical explanation for it that isn't, oh my God, she hates all Jews. Okay, so that's the frustrating thing about this is, if you'll notice, they always have to speak in vagaries because they can't say, here's the exact thing that she said that's anti-Semitic and here's why this is wrong. The one thing which is somewhat questionable is she said Israel hypnotized the world. This was back during the, I think with the 2014 Gaza war, which was less of a war and more of just a murder fest that the Israeli government, Netanyahu, were carrying out. But she said, Israel hypnotized the world, and we need to realize that what they're doing is wrong, something to that effect. And hypnotize the world is a phrase that people go, oh my God, that's an anti-Semitic phrase. But when you look at the context of, she was saying this at a time when Israel was literally killing 80% civilians in Gaza, women and children, literally 500 children, and the UN came out and said 80% civilian death rate. You have to stop this. Bombing hospitals, bombing schools, bombing mosques, bombing the only power plant in Gaza. That's the context of when she said that. So is there an interpretation of it that is not at all anti-Semitic? Yes! It's, oh my God, when somebody's bombing and murdering fucking children, you should say, this government is fucking duping the world into acting like they're doing nothing wrong when they are doing something wrong. So that was the closest one you could get that you could say is questionable, but all the others, all about the Benjamins. That was just calling out AIPAC and their nefarious influence where they buy U.S. politicians to do the bidding of Israel in the same way that the Saudi lobby buys politicians to do Saudi Arabia's influence. So it's not bigoted, it's just factual to call that out. The dual allegiance thing she never even fucking said, but they're saying she said. So it's just beyond frustrating. And I'm tired of and this is why people were so mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and many others, is that there wasn't a robust defense of Ilhan Omar. They didn't defend her on the merits, which they should have done. Instead, what they did is they tried to do these like bullshit hypocrisy burns of like, well, we call out the anti-Semitism on our side. Why don't the Republicans call out the anti-Semitism on their side? Well, you just bought into the fucking premise that Ilhan Omar's an anti-Semite, and she's not. She's not. That's the problem. So we don't need to get into it any further than this. But bottom line is, Jeanine Pirro is an absolute maniac. She's wrong about everything, and she loves to hurl around accusations, bigotry, bigotry, bigotry. But God forbid she immediately says something bigoted after she claims others are being bigoted. Right over her head, didn't even realize it because she's a dumbass.